So many people believe if one person in a marriage is having an affair, they must not be a great couple. They're not supposed to be together. Let me tell you, that is a lie. In my work, I talk to women who've been betrayed every single day, maybe 20 to 30 people every single day. And these people come from good marriages, solid ones who are sitting there thinking, what happened? How am I in this position? What made my husband do this? What made my wife go that way? Well, there was an article printed and someone sent it to me, and I'd like to read it to you and give credit to the writer as well. But one thing's important. If you're going through some type of betrayal, never think it's over. It's not over. Even if he's run off with some lady and, went to the Bahamas or the moon, doesn't matter, you still have a chance. And that's what I want to break for people. I want you to know, even if you're divorced for 10 years, and you want him back, or he lives down the street and neither one of you are with anybody, you can still get him back. I truly believe that, and I teach people exactly how to do that. So if you're stuck and you need help, let me know. In the meantime, I want you to hear what this article is about. This article comes from the Good Men Project. It also came from that platform called Medium. I'm not sure if the writer wrote it in both places or if it was copied. It was written by Sheetal Nair, like, the stuff you put on your legs, Nair. She says, most affairs begin in good marriages, not bad ones. I agree with that. Most of my wives come from phenomenal marriages. It can happen to anybody. So what does that tell people with good marriages? Be careful. Make those investments in each other so that this never happens to you. Betrayal often starts where boredom, duty, and unlived parts of our own selves begin, not where love ends. So what does that say? That says it's not about you. It's about something going on inside the person who's having the affair, not the spouse. It's like you have choices, right? Am I going to choose this or am I going to choose this? One's going to lead me to consequences that might what? And the other one's going to lead me to consequences that what? Nobody thinks about the consequences. Everybody selfishly thinks, what about me? I deserve this affair. Anyway, let's get into the story. Let me begin with a sentence likely to offend moralists. Many affairs do not begin because people stop loving their spouses. They begin because people stop recognizing themselves. I agree. That is a different wound and more dangerous because it means betrayal may sometimes begin not in hatred, not in neglect, not even in sexual frustration, but in the quiet panic of becoming emotionally over-civilized. Okay, so funny. When I read some things, I'm not a fan of writers who use AI, and I feel like part of this was AI. It's good, but it's definitely written by AI. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's still interesting. Some affairs are not escapes from bad marriages. They are revolts against the unlived parts of themselves. And if that unsettles you, good. Sorry, I'm noticing. I don't want to critique this writer. I'm going to keep going. And by the way, my book is coming out in this fall. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to me because I will be talking about it. I'm actually having a launch party in New York City. So if you want to be a part of that, let me know. Oh, and I'm also hosting a retreat this October. So if you want to come to that, I have spaces for 17 women. I'm going to start with my members first, but if anyone else wants to join, just send me an email. Say, I'd like to go. Send it to TheWifeExpert@gmail.com and tell me you're interested in the retreat, and I will make sure you get information on that. Let's go back. Truth often enters wearing scandal. We have been sold a childish myth. Bad marriages produce affairs. Wrong. Good marriages produce fidelity. Maybe. Reality is often messier. I have seen emotionally decent marriages shaken not by cruelty, but by hunger. Hunger for mystery, for being seen differently, for a version of oneself that routine had buried. Most people do not risk affairs for sex. Sex is often the least interesting part. They risk them to feel alive. That is the secret polite society lies about. Sorry, she does not have commas in here. Need commas. Punctuation matters when you're writing people. Now she writes 5 affairs that exist long before physical infidelity. Most betrayals begin psychologically, not physically. Let's say the quiet part aloud. Number 1, the affair with the self you never became. This may be the most common. You get married, life stabilizes, your identity of self narrows, and one day someone appears who who reminds you of a self that you left behind. Who might you have been? Sometimes desire is not for that other person. It is for the abandoned self that you awaken. That can be intoxicating and dangerous. Number 2, the affair with being desired again. This is not vanity. It is existential, to feel chosen, to feel wanted, to feel electrified. I personally have never had an affair, but let me tell you, I hear about it. It sounds very exciting. And yet, is it worth the excitement to face the consequences of what happens in your life? Because not only are all these people going to be saddened with you or might speak up to you, people who have affairs face chaos every day in their lives. They lose their car keys, they get in a car accident, their tire breaks down. All kinds of crazy things happen to them because that's karma. And I do believe when you wrong another person, it will come back to you, which is why it's a really good idea to just be kind to everybody. Then you're like, okay, if something bad happens, maybe it's just me. So she writes, so after an affair, after years of being with the same person, having an affair can feel like a narcotic. People call it immoral. Sometimes it is also called grief. Number 3, the affair with mystery. Routine protects marriage. It also can suffocate. Desire often needs what marriage erodes: distance, novelty, uncertainty. No one tells people that scrutiny and eroticism can quarrel, yet they often do. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't read this first because I wanted to read it live so I can make comments on it. And my problem is writers today, right? They're not telling you how to feel. They're not telling you they're hurt. It's all very cold and calculated. And while this is interesting, it's a lot to unpack. And let's keep going. The affair with emotional witness. Many emotional affairs begin because someone listens. That's it. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one, because she's right. When someone goes, hi, and they listen, that can be very alluring. So what does that tell you? Listen to your spouse. Look at them in the eyes and listen to them. Shut up and just listen. It can be a big, large part because being deeply understood can feel more intimate than ever being touched. Number 5, the affair has freedom. Some affairs are not all about the other lover. They are flirtatious with escape, with irresponsibility, without being needed, without being the reliable one, the responsible one. I added that. Sometimes adultery is a rebellion in disguise. Here is the heresy. Some stable marriages quietly survive because partners allow micro affairs. I am not one of those people. I hope you're not one of those people, because that brings in like a parasite into your marriage. Do not ever allow someone to have an affair. You're not allowing anybody. You let them. You want to have an affair? You go do that. I don't want it. I don't like it. I'm going to go do me. Totally different. So she's saying that some people will say you can have a micro affair with solitude, with creativity, with private reinvention, with friendship, with alternative selves. Healthy marriages often permit mystery. Why can't you do that? Why can't you have a mysterious marriage? Think about it. What can you do today? Go home. Put on different clothes, buy a wig. Oh, there's so many things you can do. I don't need to tell you. Google it. Do something different. Be different. Don't just sit and watch TV, have dinner, boring. Walking's always fun. No one seems to do that. They do it for a little while, but then they quit. Walking keeps you healthy, gets the mind going, connecting to birds or whatever's outside. Skunks go by all the time. Be careful. Unhealthy affairs often end up in chaos. What people get wrong about affairs. They imagine affairs begin in lust. They often begin in emotional starvation. They imagine cheaters are immoral monsters. Punish the crime, not the person. Say bad things about the crime, not the person. Gotta separate them, because humans are not immoral monsters. Their behaviors might be, but not the person. We have to find forgiveness too. But that's another story. Sometimes they are frightened, ordinary people meeting disowned longing. They imagine fidelity means absence of desire. It does not. It means how desire is handled. Huge difference. It means how desire is handled. That's a huge difference. Myth versus truth. Myth. Happy marriages are affair-proof. Truth. Many affairs begin inside functional, good marriages. I believe that. Myth. Affairs are mostly about sex. Truth. They're often about identity and a lost soul. I added that. Myth. Betrayal begins in hotel rooms. Truth. It often begins in just a conversation. Myth. Loyal people never fantasize about leaving. Truth. Many people simply just never tell the truth about it. Everyone thinks about things in their head. Affairs do not only expose character, sometimes they expose identity inside people, and that is harder to admit. The writer says, I'm not defending betrayal. Let me be clear. I'm questioning whether we understand what betrayal often reveals, and confusing them keeps people morally loud and psychologically shallow. Perhaps affairs persist, not because people are uniquely broken, but because we still ask marriage to contain too much human contradiction. I don't believe that. Affairs persist because it's like a trip to Disneyland. It's an escape. It's like a bottle of tequila. It's like going out and snorting cocaine, which I have never done, but apparently it gives you a really good high, and that's what an affair is. It gives you a high. So she says, maybe what saves marriages is not pretending to have these weird desires, but actually learning how to talk about what the desires are before secrecy and desire take over. Most betrayals do not begin when people stop loving each other. They begin when the unlived parts of their own selves start screaming. But far few people know how to listen to their own self. And this is exactly where affairs are born. So what does that say? My 2 cents? Love yourself first. When you love yourself first, you would never do that to another person. You would never have an affair because you love yourself. You know what it would feel like if someone did that to you. I thought about it. I mean, how many times did that happen to someone in a lifetime, right? Just the thought. And you're like, oh, but if I did that, then this would happen, then this would happen, then this would happen. Yeah, it might be fun for like 10 seconds, but in the end, what would happen? And too many people would get hurt. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Keep that in your mind. Is this worth it? And if you've been drinking, as some of my wives will say, yeah, but when I have a cocktail, yeah, well, what does that tell you? Careful with the booze. This is where many affairs are born. She's right. And perhaps where some marriages can still be saved. And yes, that's what I do. I save marriages one person at a time. So if you need my help, let me know. This was a very interesting read, and I'm sorry I critiqued the writer. If you're a writer, if you're going to write something, write from your heart. Don't use AI. I hope writers learn. Young writers, I'm sorry, I'm like the old person giving my opinion. Young writers, you need to write how you feel. Don't write with AI, because AI does not have blood, a heart, or soul. Bottom line is, if you're in a marriage and you're in a good marriage, make the investment. Take the time. Do something interesting. Keep it mysterious. That's your person. Don't let them go. Do the work. Show up how you would want them to show up for you. Be better. Do better. I guess that's the goal of this whole article and what I wanted to tell you. And if you have any trouble or you've got anything going wrong or you're curious about something, you can either send me an email at Laurie@TheWifeExpert.com or send me information or your story, and I can read this on YouTube here. My heart is with you. Never give up. Never give up. This is your husband. This is your family. Own it.